Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyson Choptain. I am the president of the Prairies region for MSP Corp, based out of the Broadview Networks office in Winnipeg. And today we're going to talk about, do you have a strategic technology plan? Broadview Networks has been providing managed services to our customers for over 10 years and providing strategic technology consulting to our customers for over 20 years. And we see a core part of what we do with our customers is helping them build a technology plan, short term and long term, that takes into account both their technology needs based on what we understand and the business needs based on what the customer understands. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a PowerPoint, and then we're going to do a little bit of a live demonstration of some of the tools that we use and show you what these plans look like and how they're utilized with our customers today. So let's talk about the need and why we recommend customers have a strategic technology plan. One of those top challenges customers run into is staying competitive. And IT is a critical way to stay competitive. Whether it's your IT functioning 100% all the time, improving the productivity of your staff, or whether it's about making sure you're utilizing the latest technologies to help you be able to be competitive, that's just as critical. Obviously, we all know AI is in the news a lot lately. It's being talked about all the time. It is a driving factor for what a lot of people are making technology decisions based on. And often what you'll hear from us when we talk about AI isn't about how you have to use AI because you have to use it. It's about because if you're not using AI, your competitors or other people that you interact with, other organizations you work with are, and if you don't start using AI, you may be left behind. And that's where you need to understand what are the technologies, how do they apply to your organization. A lot of IT people will make recommendations based on technology. It could be the bleeding edge, it could be best of breed technologies, it could be very good solutions for an organization, but those may not be based on what is the best for the business. And you need a person who talks about your technology, not just understanding the technical aspects, which are obviously very, very important, but obviously understands your business needs and the business aspects and rationalizing technology needs with costs, expenditures, and expectations of the organization. That leads into not having unexpected IT expenses, building a budget and a timeline so that as you want to make improvements in technology, as there are changes in technology that are going to impact you, you're prepared for them, you're ready. And you have an idea of what's coming in the future so that if something comes up that you weren't expecting in your business, we can slide the other IT items around to fit something new in. But it's not done in a gunshot method without realizing everything else that's out there. And we need to base things on a framework from a cybersecurity perspective. We'll talk about how in our general strategic technology review process, we do a high-level review of cybersecurity. We help a customer understand where their gaps and weaknesses might be, and then we make recommendations for cybersecurity improvements. When you talk about evergreen, we can build a plan, but first we need to understand what you have. And when an organization onboards with us, one of the most important things we do is document the existing environment. And as we go through that process, we understand how an organization operates. We understand how to apply what we do to that organization because we have consistent processes and we understand and align with our organization, our customers' processes as well. We have a defined workflow that captures data from tickets, projects, renewals, warranties, new sales that are done. So all of that feeds into that document, that review process. We have a proper cadence for how we review this information on a regular basis internally, and then how we review and share that information with our customers. We have a defined process for when we schedule the meetings, when they take place, and how they take place. And it is a CIO-led discussion. It's not a salesperson leading the discussion. Yes, we will make recommendations that will lead to quotes that we will provide for our customers, but many customers take those recommendations and deal with them themselves. Some customers take those recommendations and deal with them with other organizations they work with. The purpose of this is not to say, oh, you need to buy this week because we want to sell you that. The purpose of this is to give you a plan and an understanding of what's needed, and then we discuss how you want to move forward with those recommendations based on how your organization wants to spend money and accomplish change within the organization around your IT roadmap. It's critical that that happens by someone who has a good understanding of IT and a good understanding of business brought together. And that's really what a CIO does. It's not effective for most organizations to hire a full-time CIO until you get to a certain size. The core of our strategic technology planning is delivered by one of our virtual CIOs, a virtual chief information officer, or a fractional form of that. So as part of our managed services, you are getting a resource who will give you chief information officer like services as a part of what is being delivered. And that is the person who is building and reviewing the technology plan with you. The virtual chief information officer is an overreaching role and plan within your managed services. It covers all the different areas of your technology, but some areas require a deeper review on a consistent basis. And that's why we have our Microsoft 365 coaching plan for Microsoft 365 customers. Most people are buying this much in their monthly Microsoft 365 plan, and they're using this much. And the Microsoft 365 coaching plan is really designed to help an organization understand where they can be getting more out of what they're spending every month with Microsoft already, based on the tools and capabilities and services that are part of that Microsoft 365 plan. It's also a great way to get an eye into what's upcoming and the new features and services that Microsoft is releasing, either within the plan you have or adjacent to the plan you have as an additional service, such as Copilot that was recently launched by Microsoft 365, their generative AI solution that builds into the Microsoft 365 stack. Again, we need that overall view of the chief information officer. But when we get into cybersecurity, it's a deep enough topic, an important enough topic, that it breeds its own need for a virtual chief information security officer. And again, a large organization will have a CIO and they will have a CISO. They will have someone focused on the utilization and functionality of IT within the organization, tying the technology needs to the business needs, but they'll also have someone looking at security as a focus and understanding what's being done by the team led by the CIO, by other teams in the organization, and what cybersecurity protections and practices exist within the organization. So we've got the VCIO STR plan, the strategic technology plan that is part of all of our managed services. But then we have those specific Microsoft 365 purpose-built coaching plans, and then that specific virtual information security officer plan for the customers that are ready to take another step with their cybersecurity. The virtual chief information officer really focuses on a number of components: customer satisfaction, support, your overall IT infrastructure, your backup and disaster recovery, a high-level review of your security, your end-user computing infrastructure design and layout, your collaboration and telephony capabilities, and the application sets and how you use them. Depending on what you're doing in your environment, we may spend some additional time on areas like printing and training if those are core to your organization. But these are the core areas we focus on in the overall strategic technology review. When we get into the Microsoft 365 coaching, we're looking at your Microsoft 365 profile, that high level review of what you're doing within your Microsoft 365, how well built it is, how well implemented, and how used it is. We want to understand what are you doing deeper in the Microsoft 365 specific components of collaboration, communication, your utilization of the Office applications, what business productivity features you're taking advantage of. Are you using the AI that is capable within Microsoft 365? Copilot being one of those technologies, but there's other technologies that are part of the Power Apps, Power Automate set of solutions. We look at the analytics of utilization. We want to understand your cloud-based, file storage that's part of your Microsoft 365 service, your email and calendaring functionality, your task and project management, and then a brief review of the security, authentication, and backup. So again, a deeper dive into the Microsoft 365 specific components of your environment. And then if and when your organization is ready for that next step in cybersecurity protection, the most important way to do that is not to just go out and buy a bunch of tools and hope they're going to provide what you need. You want to lay out a plan. And the Virtual Chief Information Security Officer is a set of review and oversight functions that help communicate information back and deliver a cybersecurity ongoing plan and review. So we're going to look at what you have, make recommendations. Period of time later, we'll look at what you have again and make recommendations again. Meanwhile, we'll be doing sustained regular reviews of specific functions within your organization from an information security perspective. So for example, on a monthly basis, we're going to look at your Microsoft 365 security logs and your Active Directory security logs. On a quarterly basis, we're going to score you against the CIS framework to understand how well is your security posture built for your organization. And then on a semi-annual and annual plan, we'll do review of specific components of your cybersecurity infrastructure to see how well they're operating, how well they're built, and if they're meeting all the needs you have. At the end of the year, throughout the year, we will provide recommendations back to you. At the end of the year, we will do an overall cybersecurity roadmap plan and a review to your executive overlaying what we've done over the last year and what our recommendations are. So they're all part of strategic technology plans. There's the overall strategic technology plan that's part of our core managed services. Then there is the Microsoft 365 coaching plan. Then there is the VCIO plan. So I'm going to take a minute right now and I'm going to show you what those different tools look like. Let's bring that up. So when you come on board, as I mentioned, the very first thing we do is we score your environment. So we have over 150 questions where we go through and we want to understand how is your IT currently configured. An example would be you may or may not run a Windows Server operating system. You certainly run Windows desktop operating systems likely. All of Microsoft's products have an end of life. When those products go end of life, there's no longer security updates or support from Microsoft for those products. We want to understand, do you have any products running in your organization that are off support? A server is an example, a firewall would be another example. We may have other components, software, hardware in your environment as part of your IT infrastructure. We want to know, are you currently supported, yes or no, in what you're running by the vendor? Is it a best practice, the current state that you're in? Is it any kind of a technical vulnerability? And is it any kind of a business risk? And if it is not best practice, if it is a vulnerability and it is a business risk, it's going to lower the score for that specific question. And then we're going to make a recommendation to make a change to that so that we understand what needs to be done. We put costs on that and we put a time frame on that. So that happens when you onboard with us as part of the documentation process in our system. We go through and score your data center, your servers, your hardware, your network switches, your firewalls, your wireless access points. We want to understand how your wireless access is configured. Is it properly secure? Is it wide open? We want to understand your backup and disaster recovery. Do you have a proper backup plan? Do you have proper offsite backups? Is someone testing those on a regular basis? Do you have power backup in the case of a power failure? Do you have internet failover for a secondary internet provider? So if your main internet provider goes out, you automatically fail over to a second one. Do you have proper security protocols in place? And again, this isn't the full review that the VCISO service, the Chief Information Security Service, offers. This is a high-level overview of if you've looked at building a cybersecurity plan around some core areas. But again, it gives us a score to understand where you're at as an organization. We look at your end user computing environment. Is it current? Are you ready for Windows 11? I don't know if everyone knows, but in October of 2025, Windows 10 goes end of support from Microsoft. So all of your users need to be on Windows 11. All of your computers may not currently support Windows 11. So if no one's told you at this point, be prepared that you might have to replace some of your computers between now and October of 2025 because this is coming due. For our customers, we have that information about their environment, and we have Windows 11 replacements for the computers that need to be replaced and Windows 11 upgrade recommendations that we have been discussing with our customers for over 2 years now. And we built out a plan for when they're going to replace their computers and when they're ready as an organization to upgrade everybody from Windows 10 to Windows 11 and what that cost is going to be. So it's not a surprise, and people aren't having to react to it late in 2025. We're planning for it and discussing it now. What is your telephone system? What are your collaboration systems? Are you using Teams or other technologies for collaboration? How is your email configured? What are your business applications? As we go through and answer these questions and identify how you score, we create those recommendations that I was talking about. So when we make a recommendation for some type of improvement, or you come forward with a business change, we're moving, we're upgrading, we're adding 10 more people, we're opening a new branch, we're adding this new application, we want to investigate a new application. We put these on here as items that we want to understand. We want to put some sort of a date of when you expect this to come into your environment or when we would recommend you should have this done by. We're able to put one-time costs for our services. We're able to put one-time costs for any hardware or software, and we're able to put recurring costs on that are going to come up every month. We then have the ability to review and say, listen, this is something we think you should do. Do you want to do it? You say, yes, you do. That doesn't mean you've bought anything. That doesn't mean you've done anything except make it a part of your plan. And at that point, the discussion takes place for how you want to buy it, how you want to do it, where you want to get it done. But this builds that plan. This is the plan laid out in the order of activities as they've been added by date. As we do that, we build an actual roadmap. That roadmap has dates over time of when things are going to have a cost. If something has a recurring cost over an extended period of time, it's going to show up month after month for the next 5 years. If something's a one-time project that's a short period of time, it'll only show up in that time. So we have a bar chart view of it over time, and then we have each of the individual activities summarized by month by year. So again, we have those one-time services costs, we have those one-time services and hardware costs, and then if something has a recurring cost, we have any one-time cost represented in the month that it's going to take the one-time work to be done, and then the recurring cost going on forever and ever for as long as that recurring service is going to be a part of your organization. So you see what those costs are going to be now for each of the next calendar years going forward. and you get that full understanding of what are my IT costs going to be based on which projects we're doing that we've discussed, and we've put them onto a budget and a timeline. When you want to review this information, this is all reviewed in the regular review meeting that takes place on a quarterly or semi-annual basis, but also a report is provided. And that report is a simple print version which gives you the scoring of all the different areas I just discussed based on how your environment is configured. And these scores will improve as changes are made, or they may go down as you don't make changes that should be made. We get an idea of what any tickets that are outstanding that are related to those activities. And then we see that bar chart roadmap. We see that summary of all the events costs per each year. And then we get into all of the detailed recommendations and the status of them and the date of them. And then we get all the detail of all the questions that were asked, the answers that were given, and any of the recommendations that are showing up earlier in the report. So you get that full report on a regular basis after the meeting is completed. So that's for your strategic technology review that is part of our core managed services. If you move ahead with the other services we were talking about, so there is the VISO service, you would see something similar for each of the monthly activities, each of the semi-annual activities, and each of the annual activities. They all follow the same format. There is a part where we select if it's properly implemented or in a good state, we score it, and then we make any recommendations where they're necessary. And then the exact same roadmap process is used for the cloud optimization coaching, the Microsoft 365 optimization, coaching, where we look at the Microsoft 365 profile, we look at the collaboration and communication, the Office applications, the business productivity, AI, I talked about Copilot and Power Apps. We look at the file storage. We look at the security, authentication, and backup. All the same format. We ask a question in the sense that we review it in ed and fill in the answer to the question, or we may do it live during the actual meeting, and we get an understanding of whether things are properly configured, and we make recommendations for improvement. One of the key features of the technology that we use for this and how it works across all of our different solutions that we just talked about is all of those recommendations across all those different review types that we do are one set of recommendations. So we can see the security recommendations, we can see the strategic technology review recommendations, and we can see the cloud optimization or the Microsoft 365 coaching recommendations. We've changed the name of that recently, all in one view, and they all show up on that one roadmap. So while they're delivered potentially as different activities, depending on whether it's the VCIO doing the strategic technology plan, it's one of our M365 coaches doing the M365 coaching, it's one of our security experts doing the virtual chief information security officer using their appropriate review mechanism, all of those recommendations come together so that when we're doing that strategic technology discussion, we have all of that information available to discuss. So that's what I wanted to demonstrate and talk about today. I want to leave a few minutes for questions. So any questions, feel free to ask a question in the chat or the Q&A. If you want to raise your hand, we can turn your mic and or your camera on if you want, and you can ask the question live. Whether there's any questions or not, the next steps, you can certainly reach out to us at solutions@broadviewnetworks.ca or by telephone at 204-984-9897. Talk to someone about having a call with a VCIO, an M365 coach, or a VCIO to discuss security. And if you want, for attending today's session, if you're a Microsoft 365 customer already, we can provide you with a free Microsoft 365 coaching session so you can get an idea of what that experience is like. We also have events coming up around cybersecurity and Copilot. If you're interested. And during the looper that was running at the beginning, we also talked about some Copilot briefing events that we're doing that are no cost briefing events as well. One question that people often ask is, can we export the information out of these strategic plans to Excel? And yes, we can export that information and provide it to you in Excel if that's a beneficial way for you to review it. Generally, the report format of print is more what people are looking for, but if you want to take the data and put it onto your own charts or graphs, we can provide some of that via Excel as well. Any questions and or comments? Okay. Well, then, if everyone is good and has no more questions, really appreciate you all taking your time today. Hopefully, this was informative and beneficial to you. Please feel free to reach out and talk to someone in our organization if you want to understand any of these solutions any further. And otherwise, thank you very much for your time and appreciate you joining us. Thank you.